So it's the next day. My neighbor came over and helped me get the nut off the end of the cylinder after I just pulled the barrel off. What I'm going to do now is get everything disassembled and cleaned, and then hopefully we can do some reassembly yet tonight. I need to have the backhoe ready to go for tomorrow morning, so I really need to get this put together tonight. So yeah, let's get started. The first thing to note is that we are going to be reusing the nut. It's a nylon locking nut that we had to heat up to get off. What I'm going to do, instead of using the nylon to hold it, I'm going to just use some blue Loctite, or a bunch of it, and we'll use that instead of the nylon. So I've already used brake cleaner on this and got it really clean. Now let's take apart the piston here. So I got the whole new kit from Caterpillar. Probably didn't need to get everything, but if I'm in here, I might as well do it all. It's also only 40 degrees out right now. It's been raining and snowing all day long. That's interesting. So this is the original one, I'm guessing, because the rebuild kit has a special two-piece part for that. But the O-ring is similar. So I think because our seal here was leaking, we got some water into the hydraulic oil, because there's some pitting and rust on that end of the piston. I wouldn't be surprised if the oil's pretty well contaminated. I will be changing it eventually once I get all my leaks fixed. Right now it's self-flushing. Yeah, this is called the wiper seal, and it is glued in place. So might be a little interesting to get it out. Without cutting myself, I guess. I had to run to town because this seal requires a bearing set compound to glue it in. And I didn't realize that. And of course the kit doesn't come with anything like that. So luckily the small town Napa had one container of a engine sleeve compound, which is like one step up from bearing set. So I think that'll be good there. I do need to sand this all nice and clean down to bare metal and degrease it so that that compound will take. I am loving having some actual O-ring picks. This little set is, I think, under $15 on Amazon, and I don't have to worry. They have nice spoon heads so that they won't damage any seals or O-rings. So pretty excited with that so far. So I got the U-cup seal out. Now I need to get the O-ring and backup ring out of here. Got the backup ring out. Now I just need to get the seal out. There we go. That's done. I do notice some pretty nasty scoring on here on the metal. So I'm going to have to check the rod and make sure there's nothing on it. I'll have to just take some really high grit sandpaper and smooth it out, or some emery cloth or something. But yeah, it's marred up on the inside bore here just a little bit. And that could have been from junk from who knows when, but I can feel it, so it's definitely worth pulling apart and checking the rod at least. Taking out the O-ring and the backup ring on the outside, and this part's ready to clean. So It's supper time. I'll catch you after supper. So I cleaned up the rod and wiped it down and made sure the threads were all nice and dry so that when we assemble it again, the Loctite that we'll put on this nut here will hold good against it. Last thing we need to do is get this thing cleaned up and get it ready for reinstallation. Okay, I'm going to grab some emery cloth and I'm going to sand down the ridges that are in here. It's probably going to be really hard for you guys to see it, but on this bottom side here, there's some score marks. And I just want to get all that cleaned up because I can feel those pretty easily. Okay, I think I'm ready to actually start installing the seals and O-rings and all that. It is super nice. Caterpillar, when I ordered their parts kit for this cylinder, they sent instructions on the whole installation of the whole parts kit. They also sent instructions in all of the weird O-rings and all the backup rings and all that have weird instructions. They put instructions with those too. Presumably you could order it all separately too. So it's really was nice that they included that, and I'm just going to follow those instructions to put it back together. Okay, this is the first one. It's a 2-piece buffer seal that has the actual seal itself and then a backup ring. There we go. Now I need to do the backup ring. Oh shoot, I broke it. Well, gonna have to work. That's a bummer. Well, if you see me redoing this cylinder anytime soon, it's because I broke that backup ring out. Next is the U-cup seal, and it faces the cup towards the barrel. Okay, that went much nicer. I'm actually going to install this now too. This is the wear band. This just slips in here like so. Clips into place. That's really nice and easy. Now we're going to do the hard one. So Caterpillar has their own 11 herbs and spices degreaser that you're supposed to use on here. I'm going to just use brake parts cleaner. This is non-chlorinated, so it won't leave a residue behind, hopefully. And they're very specific, saying that you need to sand this and make sure there's no residue or adhesive left over from the previous seal. Here's the special wiper seal. So I'm supposed to clean this outside race. Okay, this is what I'm using. It's Permatex sleeve repair. It is overkill for what we're doing. It's high temperature and all that. And I do not have an installer tool. So we're going to do the very gentle hammer tap method. That's probably not approved of by Caterpillar. I think I can push that down further. Perfect. That'll work. Okay, while that's setting up, just wipe off all the excess. That's the finished seal right there. So the inside pack is all done. Now we just need to put the O-rings on the outside of the barrel. The outside of the nut, I guess. Which means I'm going to wipe this down one more time. Yeah, this kit doesn't quite tell you everything. There's this backup seal, or backup ring that goes with the O-ring on this face here. So we're going to try to install the backup ring first. And thankfully this one is elastic. Okay. We'll do the smaller of our two O-rings here. After we coax our backup ring to its proper position. That looks good. The O-ring that goes at the end of the barrel next. Try to be really careful going over these threads because they are sharp. Okay, that's in its proper position there. I think this is ready to go as soon as our compound seals up just a little bit more. I might actually go and put this inside where it's warmer and get it nice and warm by a heater. That way that cures a little bit faster. So I'm a little nervous about this piston. It has a very special, it's a plastic outer, basically wear band, but it's also the gasket with a two-piece, or it's separated like this, and the O-ring goes underneath it. So, yeah, it has its own special instructions here. Okay, so we're going to put this O-ring over this first. Oh. So I'm going to hook it in as best I can and work my way around. Now with an O-ring like this, I'm going to try to make sure it's not twisted. Yeah, it looks good. Okay, this they just want to make sure you don't overstretch it. So I'm just going to barely slide it over. That clicked into place. Wear band. That worked. So now, I think we are ready to basically reinstall now. I'm going to make sure my piston is nice and clean, so I'm not going to tear anything up. I'm also going to make sure my barrel is nice and clean and that both of them don't have like sharp edges or anything that's going to cut a seal as we start installing stuff. The only thing that I don't understand is normally there's an O-ring in this piston assembly to seal from leakage that comes through the piston, like between the nut and the actual rod. That can seep oil between the two sides of the piston, but apparently they don't worry about that. So I went through here and cleaned up this rod as best I could. There's a few spots where the chrome was starting to delaminate, or there's some metal like pushed into the chrome. So I sanded those out as best I could, just with some memory cloth, and I was being really gentle. I think I'll be okay. It's only a couple spots. So if this rod gets any worse, what I'll probably end up having to do is do something I'll have to fake an Aussie accent and try to do my best to copy Cutting Edge Engineering Australia and basically redo this whole rod. I need a lathe for that. It'll hopefully be far into the future, but his stuff's really cool. He rebuilds cylinders much larger than this all the time, and a very cool machinist. You should check him out. So what we can do next is install our piston again and put our nut back on, get that torqued down with some Loctite on it. And then from there, we can, good thing I was thinking this through. I will not be putting the piston on next. Next step will be grabbing the gland nut out of the bus and sliding that on first, so that when I put the piston on, I don't have to take it back off again and repeat the process. So I'm gonna go grab that. I'm glad I was talking out loud there. We'll put the nut on and then we'll put the piston back on. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is grab some hydraulic oil, some fresh clean stuff, and I'm going to lube up our piston. That way sliding the gland nut on will be nice and easy. I've also heard that you can use just normal grease to do the same thing, but it is so cold out, I don't need any extra resistance. Yeah, I'll be fighting it as quite a bit as it is. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I put the nut on the correct way. Yeah, I figured it's gonna be a fight. I don't know if you remember, but the other one slid on and off freely. It was not a problem at all. With all the fresh seals, it's going to be really tight to try to get on. Thank goodness. Got it started at least. I'm gonna try something. It's probably dumb. But I have plenty of thread on here. I should just be able to push this on using the nut. It's probably the wrong thing to do, but I'm going to try it. This is the only way I can think to do it all nice and parallel to each other. There we go. So, good news is I don't see any like plastic or rubber shards right here. I wish they had chamfered that more. If they had done that, it would have been relatively easy to put this nut on. The next step is to degrease the nut and the threads here, and then we can put the piston on. And I checked my reference photos, and the seal goes to the front, the wear band towards the back. Just like that. So I'm using some Permatex blue thread locker on the last 1/2 inch of threads here. This is the medium strength. Should be about as hard to unthread as the nylon lock nut was. And by the way, no, this is not the right wrench to do this. I don't have a big crescent wrench or pipe wrench. This is my neighbor's. He let me borrow it for this project. Okay. Now we need to torque this down. Which means getting our cheater bar assembled. Okay, that's about as tight as it was when we broke it free. So, good and tight is what that is. Okay, because I used a pipe wrench, I'm gonna have to clean that nut off really well because there's metal fragments left over from the teeth on the pipe wrench. Because that pipe wrench has a lot of really aggressive teeth on it. I'd hate to let any of that contaminate the hydraulic system. Okay, we have our nut on with the piston in proper position. It's rotated the right way. We have the nut on. And now the fun wrestling match begins. I have to slide the barrel over all of this without making either a giant mess or wrecking my seals or anything like that. I'm putting plenty of oil on there. I'm only doing that right before I put the seal on, or the barrel on, so I don't get it contaminated with dust or dirt. So let's grab the barrel. grabbed onto the rod end there. That's nice. Okay, what I'm going to do here now is shim up my rod a little bit further so that everything's more in alignment. I'm going to get a come along or strap. We'll pull on the top so I can get some pressure on it. Kind of like how we did the nut for the piston. Oh, there we go. Honestly, that's as far as I need to go because I need to put the pin back in. So no sense shoving it further in. Now it's actually probably too far out. Or too far slid in, yep. Next I'm going to try to get the barrel and nut kind of supporting each other so I can screw the nut on. And then the cylinder's basically rebuilt. Also, I don't see any plastic chunks or shavings or anything in the bore there, so I think we're good there. I'm going to wipe out the cylinder one more time, just for good measure. So now my goal is to just take some of the weight off of this barrel here so that everything lines up when I try to screw the nut on. There went my big wrench, my big bar. Okay. Probably need to get it pinned up on the other side next. Ooh, I'm glad I didn't have fingers under there. That would have been an amputation. Trying to rotate the cylinder just a little bit to try to get the pin to line up better. Ooh, that's getting close. I'm going to try to pull the cylinder into place. It's too far in by about a ½ inch or quarter inch. Almost have the pin in. I just want to see if I can get that bolt hole to line up for the keeper. I think I got it perfect. Oh. No way. I was kind of doing that in the dark, and I got the keeper bolt to line up just perfectly with it. I'm sorry guys, it's probably super dark for you already, but I need to keep going on this, because hopefully we're digging test holes tomorrow. If I was smart, I probably would have hooked up my hydraulic lines while this bore was still loose. I can just reach it. My only other option was to call Emily with her skinnier arms. Now I really hope the O-ring on this hydraulic fitting was still intact. There's no way for me to tell. Just hope it doesn't leak. I can get the boom in a better position to access this when it's, in a different angle. So if I need to, I'll do that. Okay, that pin is fully installed. Still have to tighten down the nut. And we have to put this other hydraulics fitting back together. Now I think you're supposed to replace the O-rings on these hydraulic fittings because they're O-ring boss face, I think, fittings. So the O-rings crush down and you might have a leak if you don't replace them. So I'm taking a risk, I guess, on this. Next time I'll definitely order O-rings for that. Okay, that's tight. To do this. Okay, that's much harder now. Oh. These wrenches are super easy to slip on. Or they're really easy to slip off the nut. Oh. Oh shoot, that wasn't good. Didn't mark it though. Okay. I'm going to take a punch now and try to just get a little bit more out of it. I don't know if that's going to help. Try one more time. Oh, I'd say that's at about 200 foot-pounds, maybe 300. It was almost hanging off there at probably 3 feet, so probably a little bit more than that. I'm gonna call that good on the nut here. next step is to put the retaining washers and clips on the end of the stick cylinder or the rod, and then I think we're ready to do a test start. And I just lost my light. Okay, I'm still needing to work the air out of the cylinder and make sure I can check for leaks, and that way if I get the cylinder all filled back up, then I can top off the hydraulic oil in the morning. So that's going to do it for this video. The repair on the cylinder is done really well. It's been about 3 months and no signs of leaks of any sort, and it's nice and strong. So I don't think having the broken backup ring caused any issues. We'll see. Time will tell on that one. But I want to thank all of you for getting to this point in the video. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is just to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel and tells YouTube that this content is worth showing to other people. If you want to support the channel in a more direct way, the best way to do that is through YouTube channel memberships. If you like this content and want to see more of it, I recommend that you hit that subscribe button. That way you can see all of our upcoming videos. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.